Hey, and welcome to the Steve and Dan Show. I'm Steve, my co-host Dan, and our special guest Luca today.
Hi,
Good to
guys.
see everybody here. Thanks for coming. For those of you who haven't seen this before, I'm Steve Herbert, husband, father, entrepreneur. I've started and grown several businesses over the years and realized that I felt more like those businesses owned me than I owned them, and I was never really getting that true freedom that I was looking for in having my own business. It just kind of ran me, and I wasn't able to spend time with my family, which was a big reason why I went into business for myself, so that I could have that flexible schedule and spend more time with my family. So I looked for something different, and that's how I found the community, and just completely changed my life. And just so happy that I've taken advantage of this opportunity when it came along. Dan, do you want to give a little history on yourself?
I would love to, Steve. Thank you very much. Dan Holloway, born in the UK. I came from a corporate sales background. And again, for anyone who doesn't know, my journey into SFM was basically reaching a point where the income and the money wasn't really fulfilling me. I was working 70 hours per week, giving up all of my time for money in a career that I was finding pretty unfulfilling. And the wake-up moment was realizing that any income goal I'd had in the past had never brought me fulfillment or happiness. So why did I think that an even bigger income goal in the future was going to, help me move forwards in life? So that was when I changed paths. That was when I discovered SFM. Obviously, rest from there is history. We're now episode 9, isn't it, Steve? Is that right?
9, yes, sir.
Yes, awesome. Yes. So episode 9 of the Steve and Dan Show. Special guest Luca today. Would you like to give us a little bit of an overview, Luca, of your background?
Sure.
Who you are before you found SFM?
I will try and do it in a nutshell. Guys, thanks very much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be on cloud number 9. Well, this is the episode number 9 anyway. I can relate. I'm Luca Ecari, and some of you may already have seen some of the videos that I published, and I started actually not long ago. I was born in Italy. I am now 37, guys, so I'm in my prime, but I'm living in Switzerland. I'm living in Switzerland since 10 years, a bit more than that. And the reason I'm living in Switzerland is, apart from the fact that it's a low-tax, high-quality lifestyle country, is because I had to move along with my job. I decided consciously to move with my job. And I am a corporate, what you could probably define as a corporate guy. I am still in the corporate environment. I want to mention that. And I can relate to a lot that Dan has mentioned for himself. It is about fulfillment. And I want to dig a bit deeper, because it's not just about fulfillment and satisfaction. I would say also in terms of job security as well, with all that's going on. Not that I feel threatened directly, but I guess I reached a point in my career where I was saying, well, is all I'm doing and all the stress as well and all the effort really worth it? Because, that extra step in the career ladder could bring me, those extra 10, 20 grand. Hey, I'm not shying away from them. Money is great, but money is just a tool. Yeah. And looking at how my management was doing, and the people at the top of my organization were doing, that made me really reflect. I want more quality of life. I don't need more money if that doesn't bring me quality of life. So I met virtually SFM totally by chance. It was about March this year, and the rest is not history yet, as Dan said, but building on it.
Awesome. So I think something then that will be really key to touch on for a lot of people watching this is the period that you're in at the moment, where you're still working, but you're transitioning into the SFM. Because most people don't just, stop dead, quit their jobs and go full time SFM. It's normally a transitional period.
Absolutely.
So as you started the SFM, how did you manage, Luca, that transition between still living, still working a corporate job in the traditional sense, but then putting time into starting to build your online business? How did that go for you?
So I guess that I have to say these up front. When I heard the message, I was immediately sold, right? I mean, I remember that, Steve, you are my referral here, but there's not the reason why I'm here.
Right.
I have to be honest, I didn't see Steve's face, right? Only later I did. But I remember the messages that came with those ads, and then with Stuart's voice and with Stuart's face. And I guess I was at that time, so months ago, but probably I had been for a longer period of time. So it just didn't happen overnight in the same wavelength. So I was so much receiving that message that I was looking for something like that. So I immediately took it over, and I decided this is not a matter of if I'm going to do that. This is how I'm going to do that. So as opposed to thinking, what should I drop of, if that's your question also, right, related to my corporate job, I have that. That's important for the moment. That's a part of my life. And it's honestly, guys, the source of income for me, for my family, that I need to maintain. And so also to the people that are living the same situation, of course, I am making sure that that doesn't conflict with whatever I'm doing from a timing perspective, from an activities perspective, which it doesn't. Of course, it demands more time of me, because I am aware that, when I am awake in the morning, or when I am even walking back from the office, or even at night, I might have something else to do. But it doesn't feel like work. I have to be very honest. So there's a lot of planning that goes on behind the scenes. And I need to thank also people like Steve, who's helped me out with that. And it's really helping a lot. So any time that I have available, for me, it's an occasion to do something that I like, and that's going to bring me a step closer. So I am aware of that. So it's not a burden, for me at least.
So it sounds like it's more a matter of not so much, obviously you can't quit your job. You still have to pay for your family, and all the things that go with normal life. Like Dan said, I had the flexibility of running my own businesses so I could squeeze it in, but I still had to run my businesses. That doesn't go away because you can't, most people can't immediately replace their income. But it was more of a, because I know your story a little bit better than most people. And it was more of just finding those free minutes. Like you said, when you're walking home from work, you can make a video. I've seen a number of them. And you're taking care of getting that video shot at that point. Or you wake up early and you can write an email or something. So it was really just finding those 10, 15, 20, 30-minute periods that most of us might read a magazine or something else, and just maximizing your time rather than walking away from your family. You actually added working out back in recently.
Yes.
So it's really not a matter of, and I apologize if I'm putting words in your mouth, but I admire how you've kept the balance, if you will.
Thank you. If I may just add one thing, I think what I'm finding out as well is now my kid is not around. He's 5 years old. Otherwise, he's very much into this. So whenever I'm shooting videos, he wants to be part of that now. And it's also become, for me, unexpectedly an occasion where I can connect with him. I cannot connect with him on things that are related to my corporate job, but it's easier to get him involved in these. It's an experience that I'm enjoying. Let's put it this way.
And we can see your family in the background.
Yeah, so. You can. My wife, I think. Oh, yeah.
Let's hope.
Let me make sure.
Am I at the right house?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is.
That would be great, right? See somebody kick you off their balcony.
Yeah.
As long as they're cooking, I mean, no, just joking.
Anyway, just being able to keep that balance is great, and I think that's a great message for people that you don't have to walk away from your job and that sort of thing, or walk away from your family. Dan's experience is a little bit different. Single, no kids, and he took the plunge and walked away.
Yeah.
So going back to when you first found the SFM, you touched on it a little bit about seeing your bosses and not wanting their life.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about your mindset, about what you were really thinking at that time? And you said you've been thinking about it for a longer period.
Yeah.
How long have you kind of been searching, or were you actively searching or passively searching?
So I think that if you had to ask my wife a word to describe me that's not considered offensive, that would be restless. I recognize being myself. I mean, I call myself the corporate prodigal son, because I did everything that was expected of me since a very young age. And I didn't find anything wrong with it. I actually found the perfect way. You know, you go study, you study hard, you get good marks, then you find a job. Little did I know at that time that a job, because I was not even thinking even about a career. I was just thinking about getting a job, you know, that I wouldn't have gotten a job for the rest of my life. But I think since I started working, also the reality has so changed that it's only about, since probably a few years, that I have started as well doing something for myself on the space of digital businesses using the internet. And that's more out of a personal passion that I had, other than really having a clear business idea on what to realize. So I did something in the past years that brought me lots of frustrations, a lot of time eaten away from my family, from my beloved ones. And that wasn't really bringing me the satisfaction I was expecting. So I had to abandon it. And I have to say that it was for the better, because it made me take a decision. Until then, you know, I think Christmas is always a special occasion when you are with your family, when you are outside of your, at least in my case, typical environment, because I'm working and living in Switzerland. But when I'm getting back home with the family, the atmosphere is totally different, right? And it's all Christmas-like, but you also get time to think about yourself, the new year to come. And I was realizing that all the years that I had been, I use the word waiting, right? Waiting for something else to happen, were gone, right? And no matter what I would do from that moment onwards, time would still go on. So better do something about it. And I guess at that moment I was in a particular stage, and I'm not really sure. I think I found it on Facebook, and one of those ads, and clicked on it, and I just got really the right message. If I hadn't gotten that message, I don't think I would be here now.
Awesome.
Sure.
All right.
Here's something interesting that I want to touch on. So you mentioned then that you've been involved in other digital businesses in the past, right? Okay. So talk a little bit about the contrast from what you did before versus what you see in SFM. What do you see is different this time around that maybe didn't work before? Okay.
So the framework, first of all, I mean, the system that we're talking with SFM, we're talking about a digital business system. And it's very well defined. You can very well understand, and you're very well explain what's in it, what's not in it. But it turns out, based on my experience, that what's in it, it's fully self-sustaining, as opposed to me having to go around and look for stuff, even just by instructing, educating myself, going on YouTube. Of course, YouTube was there. I could go there. How many hours did I spend on YouTube to learn about, with no disrespect, right, but menial activities that took time away from me in actually doing things that I liked? So that was really not there. So I remember I spent hours, because then I brought a couple of people in this venture, and we created a company around that. Sorry, you probably can hear. That's the beauty of life.
That's quite all right.
And so after a while, and those were my best friends, so I was really convinced about this, and I had this concept, we're going to drive traffic, we're going to create this traffic, I'm passionate about creating content, we're going to attract more people creating content, helping us drive more traffic. And the concept made sense. It was actually when the rubber hit the road that we needed to make the things work. And none of us seemed to have the right availability of time, and I have to say also of competencies, right? I mean, who would have thought that maintaining a website could be that challenging or demanding? It need not be, but it was. And we were three, so how do we split responsibilities? And who's managing the content? Who's reviewing it? SFM just took a lot out of it. Actually, it took the burden out of it. It's and of course, it all depends on how you want to make things easy or difficult for yourself. But it really allowed me so far to make things in a smarter way rather than in a harder way. Before, I was working harder and not really smart, I have to say.
Yeah, that's great. The things like digital business lounge in the back office, things like that is what you're talking about, how it's kind of plug and play and everything's in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some really great tools, because I kind of came from a similar place where I was pulling things together and then found the SFM, like, oh, it's all in one place here.
Yeah.
And if I may add one other thing, because I think it's also part of answer your question, Dan. It's of course there is the technical aspect of it, but there is also another aspect. I've never been a guy working in a sales guy, right? So that job entitled me to do the job. That company we created, that I created along with these two friends of mine, demanded that we did a lot of business development activities that honestly I didn't feel comfortable with. I want to admit it, right? And the others also did not feel comfortable with. And that's when we realized that despite our efforts, we could not bring in the necessary interest. So maybe if some other competencies had been there, we could have made a difference, but they weren't. In this case, with SFM, that's also been taken care of, because you can really approach it the way you want it. And I approached it in the way that I like. That means talking about myself, talking about the messages that I feel like giving. If people don't like them, fine, fair enough. I'm not trying to sell them anything. They can walk away. Bye. See you later. Others maybe are going to start the conversations. It's different, right? It takes that out of me as well. Sorry,
for sure. And I think that's such an important point as well, because the thing that appealed to me with, I suppose, affiliate marketing in general to an extent, but more specifically affiliate marketing, where you have a full company and a full system and automation and leverage behind you. The thing that's so important from that is that all you've got to worry about is literally the front end stuff. Just get people through automated marketing messages interested in what you're doing, interested in you as a person. And if they want to learn more, the second they get involved with SFM, the SFM sales team, the SFM business system, the SFM webinars, follow-ups, content, everything's all done. And that's what I loved about it. And it's like, if you're running a business, for example, you've got 100% of the potential revenue that you could get, but then you've got the costs of running the business, which might be 60, 70%. So if you can just deal with the front end stuff and get up to 40% commission just for doing that and have the business take care of the rest, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. So yeah, you've hit on such an important point there. And I think just as the distinction as well, you can do affiliate marketing for a lot of companies, but it sounds like, Luca, your experience before was that, you're doing it, but for a company where it's not, it's not quite built up to the level to sustain and support everything you're driving in, especially the business development.
Yes.
So what would you say then from the transition from that point there and from where you are right now in your journey with SFM at this moment? How do you feel when you think of maybe how the next 6 months are going to pan out in your journey this time around?
First of all, I'm feeling more confident, right?
Yeah.
I think that all the messages that everybody that starts anew with SFM starts hearing are nowhere near the technical aspects, right? Are actually more on the mindset kind of thing, and taking consistent action, I think it's a daily blueprint of operation. I don't remember it anymore, but it's a very good guidance, and it allows me, so far since I started, I'm feeling much more confident of what I want to talk about and how I want and need to talk about. So we all have different goals, right? I have started this because definitely for me, the prospect of creating something for myself where I also could get a financial benefit, that was a main driver. It's not new. At the beginning, I was not really getting the point. Many people will start, when I heard it, sorry, maybe I'm digressing a bit, but when I heard the testimonials and other people talking about it, I really heard a lot of people saying, it's not for me about the money, it's about getting something else. And then this something else actually is translating to me into, and that's to the second part of your question, what am I seeing for myself in the next six months?
Yeah.
I see for myself the possibility of transforming my efforts into free time, more free time. Yeah. More free time. And I want to be very honest, guys. I was not born yesterday is a wrong expression.
Yeah.
But if I'm not hitting my specific targets in 6 months, so what? What if I'm hitting them in 12 months or even in 1.5 years? I mean, it's in the greater scale of things, the diamond will go away anyway, will go by anyway, but that will bring me closer to where I want to be. And to all the guys that may be in my situation, working a job, corporate job, and feeling afraid of how the transition from a corporate life to how can you call it, a digipreneur life can be. To me, the idea is fantastic, because already now I am confronted in a reality where, wow, I'm working with people all around the world, but in this case, I can really do it from anywhere that I want. So maybe in 6 months, I will be able, and that's just an idea, to start saying, guys, you know what? I may not want to work 100% any longer of my time, but a lower percentage because of something else, right? And this something else in a year's time may actually become the 100%. So it may not happen overnight, but I'm seeing happening in several steps.
That's great that you've got the right mindset that you're going to achieve the goal and not tie it to a hard target. But obviously you have goals that you're wanting to achieve.
Sure.
So it's not that you're airy-fairy, it'll happen when it happens, but that if it doesn't happen by a specific time, you're good. We talked a good bit about the technical side, and we touched a little bit on the community side. Give me some sense of your perspective of the importance of one versus the other. I mean, obviously you need both, but for you, is one more important, or does SFM do one better than the other?
So I know my mother always told me not to answer a question with another question, right? But I'm still going to.
It's a great sales technique, Luca. Maybe you would be good at sales, yeah.
and my mother is not watching these, by the way. No, I don't know. Maybe. Why are there so? I know very many people who are tremendously technically skilled, and yet they do not grasp the message or even take action into creating something which is bigger for themselves than maybe working a 9-to-5 job. And by the way, guys, I am working a so-called 9-to-5 jobs. It's actually different hours, but it's no disrespect. I totally and fully respect that. But I guess the mindset is for me what's really making a difference. I mean, let's be honest. The advantage that I find with the technical aspects of the trainings and discussions, which is great in SFM, is that it's there. It's all accessible, right? It's very well categorized. The videos that I'm seeing by Jay and others are great. They're just really, really well made. And but probably there's no information that you today could not find on YouTube. It would just take you much, much, much more time. So that's the time benefit to it. On the other side, the mindset thing is what keeps me going. So also linking back to the other question you had so what has changed for me until now, and what do I see for me in the next 6 months? Well, the fact that I'm here talking to you two guys, who I consider being honestly very inspiring for several reasons. I know, guys, you are, and there's no doubt about that. It's for me. It's something that I never had the courage of doing before, guys. So stepping out of my, do you want to call it comfort zone? Reaching out to people who could actually help me, teach me, not helping me, I mean, by providing me business opportunities. You never know. But it's more about really the mindset. Surrounding yourself with people that can make a difference in the way you see things and then act on things. I think it's the greatest asset to me. They're both valuable, but that's for me is the greatest asset.
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail on the head, because like you say, that there's no shortage of information, right? We live in the digital age. You can go online, you can find out pretty much everything yourself. But then it's the same analogy as why do people that have personal trainers in gyms get such better results? It's because they are focused and driven and pointed in the right direction by someone who's done it before and who's guiding them to ultimately achieve that result. Everybody knows how to get six-pack abs and get in shape. You just kind of eat less calories and work out, and generally speaking, you're going to get fitter, but very few people do it. And that's the community aspect and the mindset aspect and the support as well. It's just so crucial. So I think, I mean, to take this a stage further then, so with the support of the community, and again, you've hit on another important point about having goals, but also not putting yourself in a position where you're saying, oh, if I don't achieve it in 3 months, then, you know, I'm going to sack it off and go to someone else, because those are the people that don't make it, you know, the get rich quick mentality. How do you feel your mindset has changed now as it was maybe 5 years ago? What would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned?
One word, guys: patience.
Nice.
I really see that, and that's part of me recognizing myself as I've been restless for a good part of my working life. I am probably because I'm more focused now. I'm realizing more things. I'm also wiser. I like to think, not just older, and but I'm more patient at this. So exactly as you said, in 3 months, I need to make sure it happens. And I want to understand, if it doesn't happen the way I'm expecting in a certain amount of time, what I can tweak, what I still can do, what I can learn, because undoubtedly it can be achieved. It's a different angle to come at it. So yeah, patience.
Good stuff.
That's great, because actually I personally went through that very recently as well, because I've always been that person where through kind of sheer effort I've made things happen. You know, I can get this business going if I just work extra hard, and it's always worked for me. And I came at this business with that mindset, and it didn't work, because my mindset was completely wrong, and how I approached it was completely wrong. So when I backed off and got that patience, it made a difference in it, a big difference. So I think that's great that you're seeing that already. What about your immediate community? We've talked to other people, and there's some people have issues with, oh, is my work going to find out? Oh, is my dad going to find out? You know, have you had any of those concerns where, you know, maybe you're letting fear of what somebody else thinks or says affect what you're doing?
So I think it's kind of related to the patient's aspect, right? I was in London attending my first Momentum Day, where I got to meet Dan, other people. You were not there, unfortunately. And
yeah, Steve, you had the team down.
But what I remember, apart from the great feeling, right? Because I'm not saying that up until that time I was skeptical. But I guess seeing things for real, seeing people for real, it makes you realize that what you're doing with your digital activities, it has effect on the real world. You're really affecting real people, the way they think, the way they behave, their actions. And there was one reading, I was talking about coincidences, right? I was flying back on a British Airways flight to Zurich from London, and there's this magazine there in the front pocket, and it is about a guy who, at 36 years of age, and I'm 37, I just turned 37 in April. This guy transformed his life into, so he was an employee pretty much, working in corporate life, and became a digipreneur. And I remember very well one of the things he said. It was like he was talking to me by reading it. And by the way, and I'll have to add another thing in relation to how the program, the SFM program so far has affected me. So he was saying in this interview, no matter what you're doing today, you're anyway, creating your digital image, your digital reputation. So what do you want to leave behind as your digital reputation, or for that matter, any kind of reputation? And I decided that if I anyway was going to publicize my thinking, it would have been in a more self-aware way, in a more focused way, in an effort to give messages, positive messages. So what if my colleagues did find out? So actually, after a few weeks, I found several people came to me. And several people came to me saying, hey, what are you doing? So great. I've seen that stuff. So can we talk about it? Or even, are you changing jobs? And I said, well, what do you think? What does it look like I'm doing? And then actually we started a conversation. So I'm not afraid. I don't let fear get the best of me. Of course, I'm also business minded. I'm doing this for myself, but I also want to make sure that it doesn't conflict with whatever other activities I have going on, because at the moment they are a big part. So I am ready. If I ever had to have a conversation, I want to be very direct, right? My manager, for example, somebody else in the organization coming to me, what are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm posting about myself. I'm running a blog. And, guys, it is the messages that you give out there are the messages that you want to give out. It made me more mindful. So to your point, so far, I am much more mindful of why I am taking some actions on the internet and on the way that I am doing it. And what's actually wrong about giving, the SFM community side is such a great stuff because there's so many great messages given. It's all about motivation. It's about coaching. It's about collaborating. It's about having goals. It's about taking actions. Those are exactly the same discussions that I'm seeing happening, even more so in the last year, to be honest, guys, in the corporate world. So it's just incredible. I'm actually finding so many parallels because I guess that us being here is a representation of the fact that many people, like me, also in the corporate environment, are probably looking for something different, or what they have today is not what they started with. And the digital revolution started, of course, but we haven't seen the end of it by all means. And this is going to accelerate. And the transformations are great. So why not start from ourselves? So I wanted to become more familiar with it rather than just being a consumer of it, right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Awesome. That makes sense. Last quick fire question from me then, because you mentioned fear, and fear is one of the things that I talk about a lot. So biggest fear that you've overcome in the last 6 months?
The biggest fear that I've overcome. So, okay. I have to say that before getting started with these, one of the aspects that I found consciously, but only after I actually gave it a thought to start with something like this was, okay, what will the other people think I'm doing? And then I analyzed it in my brain, and I actually started even talking with others. And I have seen other people actually pursuing the passion of their lives, not necessarily in the digital space, but that was, the means was different, but it was the same thing. So I said, why not? And I started doing it. And I had to overcome that fear. But I'm not having that fear. It's about being conscious and mindful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's great. That's so important to have that in its place. Probably never goes away, but just not letting it control you and direct your actions. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I just completely blanked on my question. I hate when that happens.
Yeah, no, it's like a reset, isn't it? It just disappears, gone.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no, this is not when this should happen.
Don't worry, Steve. Do you want me to jump in and save you, or have you got it back?
Yeah, that would be great.
Sweet, no problem. Well, Luca, you've delivered some amazing points there, and I think there's a lot that anyone watching this can really get out of it. So I think that's a great place to wrap, unless, of course, Steve comes up with this question in the next 30 seconds or so.
How about the next time we have you on, Luca? The next time we have you on, I'll ask that question.
That'd be great.
Deal. Love it. No, Luca, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And any final thoughts from you, my friend? Anything that you want to say as like a quick message to someone maybe thinking of joining SFM?
Yes, and it is about something that I've recently published. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and the majority, I guess, people, if not everybody, would know who Yoda is, right? Mm-hmm. And there is a mantra, and it is, guys, help me there because I'm not English mother tongue, but try not, do it or do not. There is no try.
There's no try. There was only do.
There is no try.
Yeah, exactly. He actually said it that way. That would be the message. It all comes to I'm managing to overcome so many thoughts by taking action, focused action.
Yeah.
That's honestly, guys, the best advice that I can at this point in time give. Speak to people, reach out to, Dan, Steve, myself. They're great people. They're always available. Actually, guys, find it incredible the way you are open to serve also the other people And that's also the big realization for me and for all the others, that if you do this, you need to be able to work on yourself on multiple levels, and definitely on becoming better in helping others, because that's what's going to make the difference. So
Awesome.
Thanks for having me here, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Luca. Good stuff. So for me, thank you very much. From my co-host, Steve, if he can remember his name, thank you very much. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All the best.